It's an absolute pleasure to welcome back to Frogs Hollow TV our WA correspondent Russ Cullen to recap last weekend's Gascoyne Dash. How are you, mate?
Really good, mate, and it is actually my pleasure to be on the show yet again. So thanks, Toby. Thanks, Geordie, for having me on yet again. That's great.
No worries. You look like you got a nice tan there, mate. You spent a bit of time on the beach at Carnarvon, enjoying the moment that was the Gascoyne Dash for 2026. Tell us a bit about it.
Oh, mate, what a moment it was in West Australian off-road motorsport. It was an epic weekend. We got up there early with the kids, the grandkids, and my stepdaughter. We, like many others, got up there early and just enjoyed what Carnarvon's all about, the coast and the blowholes and the coffee vans up on the beaches and that sort of thing, and the Fascine, the waterway in town, and yeah, had a really good time, and yeah, got a bit of sun on the beach. The beach run during the race was something else. Like, mate, you know, I tell you what, the guys and girls of the Gas Dash did a fantastic job with the organisation as usual, and the beach run was just a really cool initiative.
And tell us the rest of the track. I know you did allude to the beach section looked very epic to say the least, but yeah, the rest of the track pretty tight and technical, very sandy, big dunes, bit of hard pack stuff. Had it all by the sounds of it, mate.
Yeah, the rest of the track was really challenging, and I think, you know, like the finishing rate was pretty high for what is traditionally a fairly rough track. I think from talking to some of the drivers and some of the bike riders, it really made them. There was no time to rest. They had to be diligent the whole time, so they drove really well. So that in itself is a challenge and brings out good skills, and I think that makes things enjoyable. I think the other part of the track was getting to and from the beach section, which was a bit of a highlight. The beach section, we'll probably refer to the beach section many times during the show and over the next few months, because it is the talk of the town over here. To get to the beach section, you really had to be careful how you drove the vehicle or rode your bike, because getting to the beach section was quite boggy and difficult, and you just had to really be on the ball to get through that. And I think that's part of the challenge of off-road racing. We had a track, a bit like our Midwest track over here in WA, where all of a sudden part of the enjoyment was actually getting through. Yeah. And that challenge brought out a new discipline from the drivers. Like they knew they had this cherry ripe beach section that they wanted to get to, but to get to there they had to you know, go through the dungeon that was the coastal tracks to the beach. So yeah, once they got out of the dungeon, they were into paradise, you know. So it was, I think they really found that enjoyable from talking to a lot of the guys and girls that raced there.
And what a thrill for you. I know you work with some of the junior club members and volunteers there at the club who did a nice little live stream over the course of the 3 days, the weekend, but they got some great shots. I know you were halfway down the beach section there on Sunday morning, and I think you set up 14, 15 cars over 200 kilometres an hour. That must have been definitely a wake up for you, mate, on the Sunday.
Yeah, look, without boring the viewers, I know the area pretty well from being, you know, holidaying as a kid up at Carnarvon. Love the town. We managed to get out to the beach with permission. Like, you got to understand, the beach is really wide, so we weren't in the way of the competitive traffic as it would be. And obviously the organisers trust my ability to be out there and do the right thing, which I'm grateful for. Yeah. But I tell you what, Toby, the cars were just, and the bikes for that matter, I found it spectacular, the speeds they were doing. And unofficially, at the presentation, I was given a list of some of the speeds. Keithy Rance, 227 kilometres an hour recorded by Keithy Rance. And there was a stack of them over 210, like stacks of them over 210. But, you know, they're adults. They trust their equipment. They trust their car preparation. The safety standards are incredibly high, and you know, the standard of the prep and safety coupled together does make it, a bit of a thrill that you can enjoy and not worry too much about. But yeah, Toby, if you ever get over here and they happen to run the beach section again in this format at the Town Common, an absolute must to get out there. In actual fact, they've almost made a rod for their own back. The gas dash has changed a few times over the years. They've never really put on a dud show. But the trouble with this year is they put on such a great effort on the Town Common. Any desires to run an out and back concept are sort of, there's gonna be a few people that would like to see the beach back in the program next year. So it remains to be seen what the organising committee decide to do. I think any of the viewers that competed at the Dash that are watching, the Trewhellas, the Percivals, Stedmans, Keithy Rants, whatever, they need to probably give some positive input into what they design next year. Because I'll tell you what, it was something else to see, mate. It's really unique. I've been doing off-road racing for a hell of a time, been involved in cars all my life since I was a kid, but that was a real highlight, mate. I really enjoyed it.
And the race itself, mate, it came down to the wire with Jared Percival claiming a 34-second win over Murray Kiefer and Adam Trewhella not far behind in third, just 20 seconds back. What was your take on that, mate?
Yeah, interesting start of the weekend in Prologue, and it really looked like it was going to be a battle of traction, because one thing I noticed, and you got to understand, Toby, was very, very seldom was I in the commentary booth as such. I was always trying to commentate out at the track. It was something that we tried to do, something different. When I watched the Prologue, all the independent rear-end buggies that run a fair bit of power, Percival, Trewhella, Stedman, Rance, Stoney, Wellesley, all struggled with traction. All of them struggled to put power to the ground. Like Adam Trewhella was just absolutely murdering his rev limiter on Prologue. There was only one real combatant with a solid rear end in a truck style car, and that was Harleigh Uren, and obviously he did really well in Prologue. He seemed to really put the power to the ground well with the sort of live rear end automatic combination. But the other cars that were a standout in Prologue were the all-wheel drive side-by-sides. They really, really look rapid, like visually look rapid relative to the pro buggies. Yep. So at the start of the weekend, there were many pro buggy drivers that were like, man, this is playing into the side-by-sides. And I sort of thought to myself, dude, this track's going to morph itself into like a traditional track that could lend itself to the truck. So, though Wayne Batson didn't feature in the Prologue due to a mechanical issue, I thought to myself, like Stephen Scott, Harleigh Uren and Wayne Batson, the three trucks that were there, they could really get amongst this, because what I foresaw was the side-by-sides fall away a little bit as the track got rougher, and then maybe the pro buggies and the trucks especially come back into it. And that sort of reared its head in the end with Terrence Flynn-Dowell did a fantastic job, in the early days. Zach Zeck did a pretty good job in the early running. Obviously, Murray Kiefer did well in the early part of the race and held on for a good position. Well done to Murray.
Yeah.
It's interesting the way the track morphed itself into a bit of a truck, sort of buggy track in the end, being rough. And, of course, the side-by-sides battled to compete down the beach for the outright speed of the big cars. I think one of the quick side-by-sides was 173 kilometres an hour. Yeah, right. So that was pretty cool to watch. Yeah, it was pretty special.
And back to Jared Percival, he's had a huge couple of years. Number 2 in 2024 and number 3 in 2025 in the LRC. But it feels like a big win for Jared. Back on home deck, it comes with a bit more pressure now, knowing that he's had that success over East. I know, like yourself back in the day, but to come out and get a win at a big race like the Gascoyne Dash must fill his boots with a lot of confidence, I reckon.
Yeah, mate. Look, he's on a bit of a high at the moment, and I must say I was extremely worried about how Jared would go over the weekend. I'm sure Jared wouldn't mind me saying he has struggled at the Midwest track in his old ProLite car. Sort of had a bit of trouble coming to terms with the real boggy sand, and I thought maybe that's going to haunt him over the weekend at some stage at the dash, because the dash, as I said, to and from the beach is quite boggy, and it is boggy in other places around the track. But yeah, Jared, mate, the consummate smooth mover that he is, the professional, just chipped away at it, kept the car in really good condition. Obviously made it through all the boggy sections, got to the beach, used the big power of the turbo car on the beach for some really outright speed, and just drove beautifully and secured a solid win.
And Adam, Trewhella, it's been a sterling few seasons for him as well, and he was looking to go 3 from 3 in WA for 2026, defend his Gascoyne title from last year. It wasn't to be. I do believe, though, he was tracking for an outright win. He let off that last section in first spot from the section before, and 10 Ks out from the finish, he got a rear flat tyre, which ruined his chances. But he was very happy with his weekend. The car performed well after a bit of a mishap at Loveday, and back to form for Adam Trewhella, and he's definitely the standout performer in WA the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, Adam had a bit of a funny weekend. He got obviously the modern technology, a lot of the guys rely on lead navs and some form of nav system now. That fell over in the early part of day one for Adam, and some of his in-car, you can see him driving through a few trees trying to make his way back to the track because they sort of took a wrong turn, and they had to go back to just like reading the track and markers, which really set him back a little bit. But mate, look, he didn't use that as an excuse for his poor showing on the Saturday. He used it as motivation to claw his way back, and he sort of had it there for the taking, but the flat tyre on the last day, ruined his potential top spot. But again, he still wasn't disappointed. He was like really, really stoked with how his weekend went. I think he enjoyed the challenge. I think the track really threw up a massive challenge to Adam and Kobe, and I think they really enjoyed that part of it. Again, I think all of the competitors enjoyed what was it was a rough race, but it was a rough, fulfilling track. So you were rewarded for a good performance. Yeah. You weren't just beating yourself to death. Like some tracks you just beat yourself senseless and you wonder why you're out there. But there was a real feeling of satisfaction from Adam as to how his weekend rolled out in the end, and I don't think he was that disappointed with where he ended up.
Yeah, no, I was talking to him post race, and he was very happy. Took the 3rd spot, more points, and he was very close to another WA title. Who else was a standout performer for you on the weekend? Russ Cullen Uren was good. Terrence Flynn-Dowell performed well. Zach Seck, Jason Stone got home for a finish. Who caught your eye on the weekend?
Every car that blasted past me on the beach was a standout. The Wayne Batson truck with Matty Beck on board as a navigator, that thing was going that quick. I don't know what speed it ended up with because I don't know if I actually recorded the speed of the truck, but the bonnet and the roof looked like they were going to fly apart when they went past us. Standouts. Look, I love the fact that the trio at the top are like cool guys in Adam, Murray, and Jared. Great crew on board those 3 cars. But I suppose like one guy that got a good result and I was really happy for was Justin Stedman. Justin is a local to Carnarvon, just down the road in Wooramel, runs Wooramel Retreat, which is a fantastic stopover on the way up for people. Got the Wooramel Hot Springs touristy type thing there. Food's great. Accommodation's awesome. But unfortunately for Justin, he had he lost his son a few years back, and that Archer, his son's logo is on the bonnet. So, mate, every time I saw that car moving, it made me smile. It really did, and it was great to see Justin, do well over the weekend in the pro buggy class and outright.
Yeah, great story, mate. And I'll give you 30 seconds, Russ. Everyone speaks highly of the Gascoyne Dash, and I know you're a great ambassador. You go from the east coast of the Don River to the west coast of Carnarvon. Give me 30 seconds why people should invest time going to the Gas Dash in 2027.
Okay, quite simply, you only live once. You're not going to get a second chance at this life. So, yes, it's a long tow. Yes, it's a big commitment. What we saw on the weekend was iconic as Fink or Don River Dash or Gundy or any of the big name races on the East Coast, on the Eastern Seaboard. I would urge anyone that's got the financial ability, the equipment, the time and the health, importantly, to consider the Gas Dash, because I don't think you'd regret it. Wayne Batson didn't really have the best run in the world, but he still had a good time. Every time I saw him at the restaurants and cafes around town, he was always smiling. So I think that's the beauty of Carnarvon. You can have a really top time racing, and if things go a little pear-shaped, there's plenty to do. The Gas Dash, absolute weapon of a race. You've got to do it.
You've sold it, mate. Definitely on the bucket list, and I think everyone on the East Coast and even those in WA that haven't headed up from sort of Perth should get around it in 2027. Russ, quickly, next up in WA is Three Springs, shortly followed by the Kalgoorlie Desert Race, rounds 4 and 5 in the WA Championship. You looking forward to them, mate?
Absolutely. Three Springs, the track that has got absolutely everything. Fortunately for the farmers, there's quite a bit of rain up there at the moment. The crop's looking good. Unfortunately for Three Springs, it is a little bit subject to weather. So should Three Springs be too wet, we may end up running the Midwest Challenge track. That's sort of not my call, but that'll be a call for the off-road racing family and community over here. If we run the Midwest Challenge track, which we haven't done for a few years now, that'll be a great spectacle as well. And of course, we've got KDR coming up in October. That's going to be just an absolute epic race. Hopefully get a decent contingent of Eastern Staters over for that. And of course, looking forward to helping you out in the commentary booth there, Toby. Hopefully we can put on a good show for the people viewing at home.
Yes, mate, that'll definitely be the plan. Last month, you also headed across the Nullarbor to the Loveday 400, Russ, and did some work on the mic over there, mate. It was a joy listening in. Boston Morgan Horan, though, was simply too good in South Australia. What was your takeaway from that race, mate?
I did think Boston would struggle a little bit to come to terms with the all-wheel drive truck, just because of how he extracted the absolute 10 tenths out of the two-wheel drive geyser.
Yeah.
But the reality is, mate, he's just a talent, and mate, unbelievable hand-eye coordination, obviously, and skill and ability to read the track. And what an awesome pairing those two are, Boston and in the new all-wheel drive truck. He's going to take some beating, mate. I can tell you now.
Will we see Boston Morgan Horan become the first Kiwi to win the Australian Off-Road Championship?
Look, he's in a good spot. But Bo's going to take some stopping on a home track. I think it's going to be almost be a two-horse race between those two. I think it will be pretty tight. Look, one good drive at Loveday was Toddy Lehman. He was he just stayed in the fight the whole time, stayed in the hunt, realised the track was getting rougher and rougher, and just drove as quick as he needed to, preserve the car, and had a really strong finish. So that was a good to watch from a spectator / commentator, motorsport enthusiast point of view, watching Toddy Lehman go about his business at Loveday. So look, if he makes a trip over, he'll be pretty quick. The Turbo Jimco's not a bad bit of kit to have out there on the Kalgoorlie track. So Toddy Lehman might sort of sneak a few points, get a few points on board.
What about Nick Commons? It was great to see him break through for his finest day in ORC. It's been a long time coming for Nick. He's always thereabouts, just hasn't been able to put it all together. But yeah, I know he was stoked with his result down at Loveday. And yeah, definitely one of the great family crews in Australian off-road, the Commons family.
Yeah, love catching up with those boys, and yeah, great effort from Nick to win the Loveday perpetual Extreme Two-Wheel Drive trophy, named it after his father, of course. Essentially, the Commons name on that inaugural trophy for the first 12 months, which is fantastic. Wouldn't be surprised if they defend that and end up with it 2 years in a row.
Anyways, mate, thanks again for joining me on Frogs Hollow TV. We appreciate all you do in the Aussie off-road world, Russ, and we'll talk again very soon, mate.
No worries. Thank you so much for giving me so much airtime on this program, Toby.
No worries.
The Gas Dash, dear to my heart, and it was such an awesome weekend. And can I just mention, I've got to give 3 people or 3 entities a gratuitous plug, because they help with my off-road racing commitments, and that is Yokohama Tyres have come on board, so they save me a bit of money, which I can spend on airfares to get to Carnarvon. So thanks, Yokohama Tyres. Thanks to Tumby Tyres and More in Tumbyumby in New South Wales, and of course Welshpool Tyres and More, Sharky and Shay. They also help out with the junior program, which allows me to dedicate a bit of money to fly myself and my stepdaughter in Tali and the grandkids up to Carnarvon and across to Loveday, etc. So thanks to those three groups of people and those 3 entities, and thanks to all the sponsors of the show. You're very important. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Russ. Well said, mate. We love having you on our program, and on to bigger and better things in the months and years to come. So thank you. There he is, Russ Cullen, our WA correspondent.